Many have asked about local basketball recruiting. On today's episode of the Locked on Louisville podcast, we're discussing 2025 college basketball prospects that have local ties to the state of Kentucky that you should know about over the next couple of months. That being said, let's get right on into the show.
You are Locked on Louisville, your daily podcast on the Louisville Cardinals. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome into another episode of the Locked On Louisville podcast. I'm your host, Dalton Pence. Today's episode brought to you by Monopoly Go. Game off. We got to talk more about Monopoly Go. This fast-paced game lets you team up with friends for tournaments to unlock awesome prizes like unique stickers for trading, cool playing pieces, and hilarious emojis for taunting your friends. Download Monopoly Go now for free on Google Play or the App Store. Game on. As always, I want to personally thank you all for making us your first listen of the day. Just a reminder, the Locked on Louisville podcast is free on all streaming services. 5 days a week, your team every day. Many have asked about local recruiting for the men's basketball program, something that we really haven't had a ton of news on over the past couple of seasons, but there are three names that have ties to the Kentucky area that Louisville will be recruiting in the 2025 class. We'll give a little bit of an update on those three respective recruitments: Jasper Johnson, Malachi Moreno, and Kaden Magwood. All three are players that I expect the Cardinals to prioritize over the next couple of months as we head into the summer and throughout the respective senior seasons. We begin with Jasper Johnson. Now, notice I said ties to the Kentucky area. I didn't say in-state recruits because two of the names on this list have begun their high school careers in the Bluegrass State, but have since transferred out. Jasper Johnson began playing at Woodford High School, or Woodford County High School, I should say, down in Versailles. Transferred to Link Academy in Bronson, Missouri before his junior season, and played with one of the best teams in the country this past year. He made the trip up to the Derby City to play in the Derek Smith Invitational at St. X, where a bunch of top teams played. I had the honor of PA announcing a couple of those games. One of the games I announced was Link Academy taking on Prolific Prep. Prep has the number one player in both the 2025-26 classes, A.J. Devansa and Tyron Stokes from the city of Louisville as well. So, very star-studded game, great crowd. Johnson dealt with a little bit of foul trouble, but when he was on the court, he coexisted with, at that time, Kansas commit, now Alabama signee, LeBaron Philon. Some other players from Link Academy, very, very good as well. But you see why he is ranked as high as he is. For those who don't know, Jasper Johnson is almost a unanimous top 10 recruit in the class. Ranked as the 10th best player according to 24/7 Sports, 11th in the composite, second best combo guard, plays both the 1 and the 2, solid ball handling, but excels off the ball to where you can utilize his skill set in a couple of different ways. Johnson is electric with the ball in his hands. Explosive first step that makes it very, very challenging for opposing defenders to stay in front of him. And he's able to get into the lane despite, only being 170 pounds, 6'4", 170. He utilizes that size to his advantage, finishing around the rim. He's extremely crafty lefty with a solid shot, can score at all three levels of the court, and has improved that three-point shooting. That was one of the main things is, can he improve the perimeter shooting? He's done that this year. I would expect for that to continue to improve as he gets older. One thing I was also looking forward to seeing, well, two things: defense and whether or not he can facilitate and be the lead guard. Now, from what I've seen is the individual defense has improved. He's grown a couple of inches. That's helped him to be a better on-ball defender, and he has shown more effort on that side of the ball as he's gotten older as well. I also think the underrated aspect of his game is his vision with the ball in his hands. He's just one of those players that can affect the game in so many different ways, makes the guys around him better, elevates the level of play when he is on the court. It's tough to stay in front of him. He can knock down any shot inside the half court and set his teammates up for success too. So there is very, very clear reasoning as to why Jasper Johnson is a top 10 recruit in the country. Adam Finkelstein of 24/7 Sports, the director of scouting, says that he's a southpaw scoring guard who has spurts of extremely tough shot making when he gets hot. He has a super soft natural touch and is crafty around the lane with a deep bag of runners, floaters, and other types of finishes in addition to the jumpers and step backs he's capable of making from the perimeter. Physically, he is lean, but he's very long with a recorded +5 wingspan. In addition to building up his body, he also needs to learn how to impact the game more when the ball isn't in his hands, or more specifically, when he's not on one of his scoring sprees. The potential is off the charts here for Johnson. He was one of the players that I believe should be a player that Pat Kelsey looks at as a possible reclassification option. Now, there's a lot that goes into that. Number one, whether the player is willing to entertain that. Number two, whether or not the high school credits will allow early graduation. And number three, whether or not a player will be ready. Now, reclassifications don't always mean that a guy is going to immediately become a first-round draft pick. But if he were to come in and be a rotational guard in year one while technically being a high school senior, that would, I think, bode well for both sides because it gives you the college exposure on his side, and it gives Louisville a very solid guard option. There was no inside information into that, but it was just one of the hypotheticals that I was like, you know what, this would be something that, hey, maybe Pat Kelsey should entertain if you're looking to add, depth to your guard play. In terms of his recruitment, it's kind of been all over the place. Louisville recruited Jasper Johnson when Kenny Payne was the coach. Actually, I believe Scott Satterfield had him on campus for an unofficial visit when he was an 8th grader on a football visit. I believe he was a quarterback, if I'm not mistaken, but had him on campus when he was younger. Obviously has familiarity with the program and with the city of Louisville. He recently cut his list to 7, Louisville included, with the Cardinals, Kentucky, Baylor, Arkansas, North Carolina, Auburn, and Alabama, the other schools. Worth noting that Jasper played just a stone's throw away from the University of Kentucky. He is the son of former Kentucky basketball player Dennis Johnson. So there's obvious ties to the university. But with him being almost considered a lock, the unexpected happened. John Calipari went to Arkansas. And now it seems like even if Kentucky is the front runner, you wouldn't necessarily know that at the moment because he wasn't considering Arkansas. And now he is pretty understanding that John Calipari has a huge impact on this recruitment, and rightfully so. I mean, Calipari's name holds a lot of weight in recruiting. So, but Louisville, it really, we didn't necessarily know about where Louisville's chances were in the recruitment because we didn't get a lot of recruiting intel over the past couple of seasons. Well, Pat Kelsey made it a point of emphasis to make an in-home visit with Johnson down in Versailles on April 15th and hung out with Johnson's family, and has since been making it an effort for Louisville to be extremely present in the recruitment and trying to take their best shot. I think it goes without saying that this is going to be a very, very challenging recruitment to win. If you do it, it's monumental. Not only is it a top 10 player, but it's a top 10 player whose dad played in Kentucky and is from the area. Now, all 7 schools on this list have had their track record of bringing in top 10 players. It feels like at this time, Kentucky and Arkansas are going to be the toughest suitors to go up against. Arkansas because of Calipari, Kentucky because of the obvious family ties. Ultimately, I think being away from Woodford County, although you might not believe it to be this way, might work a little bit more in Louisville's favor because there might not be as much external pressure playing in Woodford County, which I said is inverse sales, probably less than 30 minutes away from Kentucky's campus. So being on the prep side of things away from Woodford County may help Louisville out. It'll be a name that the Cardinals will prioritize up until he commits. There have been some rumors that maybe he wants to commit before his senior season, sometime late spring, early summer. Those I don't believe have been confirmed, or at least if they have, I have not seen that. But it seems like that is sort of the rumor at the moment, but we will see. Jasper Johnson very well may be the number one player on the big board for the Cardinals. Another player, borderline five-star guy who Louisville has made a top priority, according to 24/7 Sports Cardinal Authority's Michael McCammon, is also around that area. But he is residing in Georgetown. We'll discuss Malachi Moreno here coming up shortly after we tell you about our friends over at LinkedIn Jobs. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. It's not just another job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job but might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Cardinal fans, look, I don't know if you are, but I am tired of watching Fox Sports and ESPN and having to turn down the volume with all the shouting. That's why you need to make the switch to Locked On Sports Today. It's a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest sports stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. Also from that area, which I hate that it has to be from Lexington, but it is what it is, Malachi Moreno, brother of Michael Moreno, who starred at Eastern Kentucky, was a hero in the, I want to say it was the, what year was that when Trinity had David Johnson, Jay Scrubb, and Justin Powell? I think it was 2019, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe a little bit. No, it couldn't have been 2019. Well, actually, it might have been 2018. No, it had to be before that. I'm getting my years mixed up. 2017, 2018. He put on a show against Trinity in the first round of the state tournament and led Scott County to victory. His little brother Malachi plays for Great Crossing after Scott County split into two, forming Great Crossing. Great Crossing is a fantastic team. They were the #1 team in the state tournament leading up. They didn't win the state tournament, but they will return a good amount of their roster. Moreno is currently ranked inside of the top 30, according to 24/7 Sports, 27 to be exact, third best center, #1 in the state of Kentucky. 6'11", 210-pound native of Georgetown, Kentucky, which, again, like Versailles, fairly close to the Wildcats campus, has been at the, or in the discussion with Louisville fans, or of Louisville fans, I should say, within the Louisville fans discussion of local recruiting for the past couple of years now. As to why hasn't Malachi Moreno been offered? That's been one of the main gripes, is that the state of Kentucky has had some very good players come through the Bluegrass State. And Louisville has missed out on those players, or they just haven't recruited them. Moreno was a case of a guy that wasn't even offered until Pat Kelsey took over the job. When the coaching staff went down to Versailles, they also made a trip down to Georgetown, offered Moreno, and has since, according to Michael McCammon of Cardinal Authority, which is the Louisville Cardinals 24/7 sports site, Moreno is a top priority for Pat Kelsey in the 2025 class, and for good reason. As a junior, he averaged 16 points per game, 13.3 rebounds, 3.7 blocks, and shot well over 60% from the field. Moreno has played in the King of the Bluegrass the past couple of seasons. I have announced, I believe, 3 great crossing games over the past 2 years in that holiday tournament down at Fairdale High School. In each of the 3 games, you get reminded constantly the impact that he has on both offense and defense. I'm interested to see what the offensive growth is going to look like, because most of his offense comes from around the rim. He gets the ball down on the block, and he goes to work utilizing that size, being 6'11" listed, but there are some people that believe he is 7 foot, 7'1", even continually growing. He's only 210 pounds, so despite not having the weight, you have the length and the wingspan to, work around defenders, finish around the rim, and be able to be effective in the paint. He doesn't have a bad-looking jump shot. He doesn't shoot a lot from around the paint or from beyond the paint, but a lot of that, truthfully, is that every single time down the court, he's basically double-teamed. Or there's a matchup zone to where once he gets the ball, teams collapse. Now, I have been impressed with his ability to find the open shooter, being able to pass it out to guys like Vince Dawson, Gage Richardson, Janias Burrell, Jeremiah Godfrey, and letting them shoot the ball. He is a very willing passer. So demands a ton of gravity, obviously being taller than everyone, but he's going to have to gain weight. That's a given. But he plays above the rim, moves really well, handles the ball well for his size, and defensively, he's a menace. 3.7 blocks, you can't take it inside. He is almost 7 feet tall, or he might be larger than 7 feet tall, and he has a very long wingspan. And it obviously helps him to alter shots, and he's one of the best shot blockers, not only in the state, but the country as well. Instinctive shot blocker to where, it's not just the size allowing him to block shots, but he's a very, very smart defender. Can guard the perimeter in switch situations. I ultimately think that the sky is the limit. This is the type of guy that I feel like would flourish in a Pat Kelsey system. Runs the floor well, plays above the rim, solid in transition, defends really well. Right away in a college program, he's going to be able to defend the rim. He's going to be able to switch onto smaller players and be able to keep up laterally and not let them go by him. And if they do, he has the length to be able to alter shots. I find it tough to believe that there are 25 players better than Malachi Moreno in the state of Kentucky. Granted, the nation. Granted, I'm biased because I've seen Malachi play in each of the 3 games he's played. He has been borderline unguardable one-on-one. And he's played some larger players, 6'8" and over at the King of the Bluegrass, and he's excelled. He's extremely skilled. The offensive skill set is continuing to refine. I'm interested to see what his role is going to be this year as a senior. But there's a reason why Pat Kelsey and company have deemed him a top priority in this class. Now, who is Louisville going up against? There are rumors that Indiana could be potentially the team to beat at this point, but a lot of great offers at this time. Iowa, Alabama, Arkansas, Baylor, Clemson, Florida, Kentucky, Michigan, Illinois, NC State, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Penn State, Purdue, Tennessee, USC, Virginia Tech, the list goes on. Moreno is an elite prospect that is playing on the Adidas circuit, which can't hurt Louisville. And I would like to see him definitely in this class. Speaking of players on the Adidas circuit that I would like to see Louisville bring into the 2025 class is their most recent offer in the class. That is former Kentucky standout and now Oak Hill star Kaden Magwood. Do not let the ranking fool you. This is a player that Louisville needs on the team. And I'll explain why here momentarily after I tell you about our friends over at Monopoly Go. All right, look, we've got to pause here to talk more about Monopoly Go. I know what you're saying, flag on the play. You've already talked about that, but there is just so much good stuff in this game. You can team up with friends for time tournaments where you work together to build up each other's boards. The more you win together, the more awesome prizes you unlock, from unique stickers that you can trade with friends to complete albums for big prizes, cool new playing pieces to travel boards with, and hilarious emojis for taunting your friends when you heist their vaults. Plus, Monopoly Go feels new and exciting with constantly changing tournaments and challenges. There's always new timed events that help you win big, like massive multipliers for everything you win, or rent frenzies. There's always something fun to discover in Monopoly Go, so get off the bench and go download it now free on Google Play or the App Store. Game on. Kaden Magwood, the ranking isn't going to wow you. Magwood is just inside of the top 100. And I mean just inside. Like the 24/7 Sports Composite literally has him ranked 99th. 24/7 is a little bit more generous. They have him at 94th, but inside of the top 15 combo guards in the country, anywhere from about 4 to 6 in terms of where he's at ranked in the state of Virginia. And again, remember how I mentioned players with ties to Kentucky and not total in-state recruits, because like Jasper Johnson, Magwood left the state to go play at a prolific place. A prolific program, if you will. However, Magwood did it a lot sooner and is actually from Louisville. He played at Western his freshman year. He had a breakout season, and it prompted a move to Oak Hill, where he has since been a regular in the rotation for the academy in Mount of Wilson, Virginia. Magwood is a 6'2", 6'3" guard, ranking 100 or weighing in at 170 pounds, and has picked up a ton of offers recently. Georgia Tech and West Virginia have offered in the past month, and then since then Illinois, Penn State. The list goes on. Doesn't have a ton of Power 5 offers at the moment, but with the solid AAU circuit that he's putting together, I would imagine that teams start calling, like Louisville did on Sunday. The Cardinals offered the former hometown standout, and I believe he could be a player to watch for in the 2025 class. He plays for Adidas Team Loaded on the AAU circuit, the Adidas AAU circuit, and has been electric to start the cycle. He is averaging currently 24 points a game, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, and 1.5 steals. He's doing so very efficiently. Like, literally, look at these shooting splits. 57% from the field, 63% from three-point line, and 82% from the free throw line. Now, maybe those numbers are with a small sample size in 8 games, but he's doing it against great competition. And the highlights that you see, it confirms what we already know. Kaden Magwood is a prolific scorer. Has to continue to increase his ability to affect the game in just scoring, which he's showing he can do that on the defensive end, and also has the willingness to be an efficient passer. But he's going to be an electric scorer at the next level. Why should that not be Louisville? A player from the city of Louisville showing out at Oak Hill, showing out on the Adidas circuit. This feels like a prototypical historical Louisville caliber recruit. I would venture into saying that he is vastly underrated and that he could rise up the rankings. This is when you watch the film. I don't care if he's ranked 100, 200, or 300. The film doesn't lie. From the people with local ties that I've talked to, Kaden Magwood is the truth. I didn't get to see him play in high school. He only spent 1 year at Western, but he's been dominating at Oak Hill. Adam Finkelstein, 24/7 Sports Director of Scouting, said this: his shot-making and step-back game in particular was just lethal. This was this past weekend. He was able to create space on demand, always on balance, and then able to utilize his high release. While his confidence and swagger were on full display, there were also some signs of unselfishness in passing. And the more he can marry those two components together, the more deadly he will become. Again, being 6'2", 6'3", with his scoring ability, it makes you wonder, what is his role at the next level? Personally, for me, I think he's a combo guard, sort of in the role of like a Sky Clark that is utilized mainly for scoring, but also an underrated facilitator. If he can increase, or if he can continue to improve his facilitating abilities, the sky is the limit. Because you're starting to see the effort on defense. You're starting to see that translate to really good offense in the transition. And he put on full display and confirmed what we already knew, and that was that he is an advanced scorer that can affect the game in all three levels and shoot with very little room needed. Granted, I'm not a big time analyst or anything like that. When I did NBA draft scouting, the main skill, the most valuable trait that a player could have was the ability to create his own offense. Kaden Magwood can create his own offense with zero space. The step back is lethal. Ability to create off the dribble. Solid three-point shooter. Look, get Kaden Magwood in a Louisville jersey. Matter of fact, get Malachi Moreno and Jasper Johnson in Louisville jerseys as well. The answer is, would Louisville take 3 local guys in this class or guys with local ties? Yes. And they 100% should with these 3 players. Because 2 of them are top 30 in the country. The other one is a high-caliber scoring guard that can give you multiple years of microwave scoring. It's a no-brainer for me. And I'm glad that Louisville is offering, and I hope that they make him a priority, and all 3 of these players a priority moving forward. That's going to wrap up today's episode of the Locked On Louisville podcast. Everyone have a great day. To find the show, be sure to tune in to this graphic. We'll see you right back here tomorrow.